Scorpio is almost always given the title of the sexiest sign. Whether you agree or disagree with that statement, 2023 brings up the topics of sensuality and pleasure in many different ways. However, the exciting thing about the year is that these topics come in a rather intriguing way, with Saturn, the planet of boundaries, as the primary perpetrator of such themes. Still, before we get to the fun stuff, it's essential to take a look at the year's foundation. January comes with a lot of baggage from the previous year that we might not necessarily want to carry with us as we move along. The main reason why January is such an important month, other than being the first month of the year, of course, is because we'll still be handling the double retrograde of Mars and Mercury. This is especially important for Scorpios because Mars is the ruler of your same sign. For you, having Mars retrograde can point to a greater degree of self-evaluation than for others. These transits usually come packed with nostalgia, and considering that in January, we're still fresh out of a rather wistful holiday season, these events might have gotten you to think a little harder about your purpose. To get more specific, this transit happens in your 8th house of death, transformation, and death. While death is sure to be a scary word, it doesn't always have to be literal. It could be that you had to part ways with something you were greatly attached to at the end of 2022, and January is the month to do some grieving. The 8th house is not the most accessible place to navigate, so be patient with yourself as you tread these murky waters. All of the heaviness this transit might have brought is considerably softened after the 18th of January when both Mars and Mercury are moving forward again, and so will you. With such a heavy beginning of the year, Scorpios will require some excitement. That's when your 5th house comes into play, the place of creativity, fun, and all the other sexy things. 2023 is the beginning of 2.5 years of that house being highlighted. This is mainly because the Saturn, as mentioned earlier, will be leaving your 4th house and entering the 5th. Saturn in the 4th might have generated some complex events involving your family or home for the past 2 years, especially if you're a Scorpio born at night. Now, moving into the next place, the challenge will be moving on from those difficulties and learning how to have fun and be excited about life again. This transit is also notorious for family changes, for those of you born during the day. The 5th house is the place of children, so some of you might likely be dealing with the difficulties of having a child cry at the most inopportune times when you're trying to fall asleep. Whether with a child or childless, this 2023, you're invited to create the space for some lust and fervor in your life. Wherever we have Saturn transiting through in our charts, we can know that it's a topic that we must take into our own hands if we want it to thrive. Saturn is a great teacher in that regard. You can think of him as a stern father figure telling you, no video games before homework. As long as you do the work, the reward will be found at the finish line. But remember, this is only the first year of a 2.5-year chapter, so be easy on yourself and take it a step at a time. Besides, it shouldn't be too hard to learn how to have a little more fun efficiently. Now, Saturn is not the only outer planet changing signs this year. The harbinger of a much longer chapter takes over Saturn's spot in your 4th house of foundation, family, and the home. This is, of course, Pluto, the planet of mutation. Now, Pluto plays a much longer game than Saturn does. It even takes its sweet time to commit to a house. This year it will only be in your 4th house from the 23rd of March to the 11th of June. This happens because, in June, the planet retrogrades back into your place of communication, asking you to deepen how you deliver your demands. Still, this brief chapter foreshadows the planet's commitment to changing your home life and foundation starting later in 2025. Through this period, you can expect things that make you unhappy about your current living situation to come to the surface. Though these are likely to only be the early beginnings of a much more significant change, you should pay close attention to the urge to move or renew your abode. Given that this is also the place of the family, Pluto might also invite you to address family trauma from the past. When we consider this, the fact that the planet goes back into the house of communication in Scorpio's natal chart is much more significant. Learning how to speak up your mind will be a skill you want to polish before Pluto decides to stay in your 4th house for a 20-year-long transit. This is the planet of transformation, after all, and that's not something that happens overnight. 2023 is all about the big picture. Yes, it comes with a lot of change, and it even asks you to learn how to have a little more fun responsibly, but the biggest gift this year has to offer is the maturity to plan for the future. Not just months ahead, but years. If you take this year seriously, it will be packed with opportunities for you to create comfort. Still, there's no need to rush. If we're spending some good time with Saturn, one of the best things we can learn is that the best work usually takes time. Be kind to yourself, Scorpio. The future is bigger than you can imagine. Good luck.